have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
With Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Good morning, everybody. It is Reality Rants. I am your host, Jason Bermas. It is brought to you in large part by redvoicemedia.com. They run this stream diddle-a-ding almost 12 hours a day. So you're tuning in now. You got a long work day ahead of you. They got you covered. And if you go to the Rumble stream, one of the things that's nice about the Rumble app for those that just kind of like to listen or it's in the background, you can shut off your screen. It plays in the background. It doesn't drain your battery as much. You're going to probably want to plug it in anyway. But you get to enjoy the whole day's show, and that's 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. Another jam-packed show for you today, by the way. We got, in the second hour, Todd McGreevy of the River City Reader, the local paper, which I write for sometimes here, to discuss the building collapse in Davenport and much more. And we're also going to be playing not only a small portion of the Jamie Deluxe interview that is premium, okay, and remember, redvoicemedia.com/uncensored to go check that out. It's $1 to try. $10 a month to support the broadcast, $100 a year if you lock it in, save $20. I'm not going anywhere. There's going to be 2 more great interviews coming up exclusively this weekend. I promise you. So small part of that, think about a 10-minute segment of that. And then last night, I was able to go on the Low Value Mail podcast. Now, the reason I was excited to do this is because Danny and Ryan put together some of the best comedy. I know JP Awakens is or is it Awaken with JP? I think it's Awaken with JP. It is a good one. And they actually, all 3 of them collaborated on another video when they were talking about the good times and the good times indeed, and pilots. It's a pretty good sketch. I prefer some other ones. I think the governor's lockdown sketch is brilliant. So to be able to do that podcast, and Danny actually watched Loose Change Final Cut just before having me on. He said he was watching all sorts of 9/11 videos before that. Apparently the prior guest was scheduled to come on and talk about 9/11. So obviously, 9/11 was a pretty easy subject, but the conversation goes well beyond 9/11 extremely quickly. And I was expecting to be on an hour. I wasn't really familiar with how long the Low Value Mail podcast goes. I remember the first time I saw it, he had Alex Stein on. And, I thought it would be longer form. But we ended up doing almost 2 hours together. I think somewhere right in the hour 55 range, somewhere in there. Took calls. Really great broadcast. So there's going to be about a 10-minute segment of that in the second hour as well. But the whole thing, is available over at Danny's YouTube channel. And there were certain things that I kind of held back on because I didn't want to get him taken off of YouTube. But again, very funny guy. Right now, part of the cultural zeitgeist of people questioning authority. And comedy has always been essential in that. I grew up on stand-up comedy. And look, first of all, I gravitate towards funny. You don't have to be political to be funny. Funny is funny. Like, I enjoy just funny. Okay? If you can incorporate politics and do it on a consistent basis and do it apolitically in many cases, like Carlin did, brilliance. A brilliance. All right. I've ranted enough on those subjects. That's coming up again in the second hour. You can watch that over at the RVM Rumble channel. You want to go to rvmrumble.com. Make it easy. That's another way to do it. Let's talk Disney. First thing we have to realize about Disney is that they are literally an extension of the intelligence / military industrial complex agenda. 100%. And in a lot of ways always have been. That's the next thing. You kind of got to take a step back and realize, even though this thing was, and when I say thing, it's a thing. It's a leviathan. It's almost like a living organism, Disney. Even though this thing always dressed it up really pretty and really nice and with traditional values of the man and the woman and the prince and the princess, right? Think about the undertones. Aside from, us discussing, and even in the second hour, I think last week or a couple weeks ago, showing you the anti-German and Japanese propaganda film put out by Disney with the song that goes a little like Hitler brings the world new order, a new world order. That song. Let's think about what I just said about traditional themes in Disney films. Prince and princess, kings and kingdoms. So on a very subconscious psychological level, whether or not we like it, we have been trained not only to accept the idea of royalty, but in many ways embrace the idea of royalty and envy royals. What do you call your daughter traditionally when she's got like the little dress up? My little princess. What do little girls like to dress up as? Right? So, again, very early on, that is aggrandized. That's not a mistake. Okay? That's not a mistake. That's part of it, even though many of these stories that Disney lifted were, of course, traditional tales that didn't have copyright. Right? That's why you can see a Snow White and this I'm not sure you can go with the Seven Dwarfs, but Snow White, there's been many a parody. In fact, Winnie the Pooh's copyright just came up, which is really interesting because Disney bought into Winnie the Pooh, didn't originally own it, but they're a Leviathan. And somebody decided to make a Winnie the Pooh horror film. I haven't watched it. It's like Pooh something or other, and it's like a giant, it's not a cartoon. I'm sure it's ridiculous. I honestly do believe that actually needs to happen with Mickey Mouse, who's on the front. And the copyright there, at least in the original formation of Willie, should have already been gone, but they've gone through the legal system, and Disney's somehow special. But I want to remind everybody that things like the Charles Dickens classic, right, could only be copyrighted for so long, and then it's just free game. And that's why there's 162 versions of that story. That's real. I mean, think about it. Scrooge, not only did you have the character Scrooge, but going back to Disney, You had a parody of that character with Donald Duck's uncle, Scrooge McDuck, that had a very successful series and a couple cool video games back in my era. We've grown up with Disney. We want to believe that Disney are the good guys. In fact, my sister, who now lives right down the road with my two nieces, one of my very first memories is me being the older brother. Okay, and I was probably still just 10 at the time. I'm gonna look it up. I think Little Mermaid came out in either 1989 feels right. So the original Little Mermaid release cartoon. 89. I can see my memory's not great, but it's pretty good. So I remember I was 10 years old, and my father had brought us all to the mall. And he said, hey, do you want to go see this movie and take your sister? Had somewhere else to go. It was the first time I was ever left there. I was pretty young. But, he knew when the movie was going to end. He knew we were going to watch it. And we watched The Little Mermaid. And at the time, I'm still 10. I'm still a little bit older. Still a really great movie. My sister loved it. Good times. Would you let your 10 and your 6-year-old even watch the new Little Mermaid with you, even then? And I'm going to explain why that's questionable in a moment. And the headline over here, this isn't even with the Little Mermaid, because the Little Mermaid did well, and that's what I kind of want to emphasize. Go woke, go bibbity bobbity broke. Male Disneyland employee dressed as fairy godmother's apprentice while boasting a mustache sparks a new backlash amid, I hate using the W word, but yeah, this is what they're now pulling at the park. Because this is the agenda. It's not about money. It's not about being popular. It's about embracing that insanity. Okay? And having your kids absorb it. They're going after the children. That is real. Now, when I talk about the new Little Mermaid, who knows? Maybe it's really great. I'm seeing really good reviews. I don't know. I'm going to come at it at a place of ignorance, other than the fact that I don't like that they changed Ursula into a drag queen. I know that they had previously done it with what was it? They did it with the fairy godmother one. What was it? Sleeping Beauty? They just did redid Sleeping Beauty. And I remember some years ago now, probably 4 or 5 years ago, going to the drive-ins. And yes, there's still drive-in movie theaters in America. Upstate New York, no less. Next to where I went to high school. It was like a 45-minute, hour-long drive from Oneonta. But we all went double feature. Beauty and the Beast, the main feature. And I remember watching that and them sneaking in the innuendo that, what is it, Gavon or whatever, his little assistant was like in love with him. And now he had turned into somebody, again, incrementalism. So turning Ursula into a drag queen it just makes me not want to watch it. I understand now that everything is a powerful female character and the men have to be weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. Whatever. I saw some people complaining about the Mario stuff. Look, that's an action game where everybody gets to play. And yet in the very beginning, Peach is kind of, it's the idea, the guy has to save the princess for the kingdom. Save the princess. But those games developed by number 2, where you could take part as Peach and beat them up. And now we're going back into the 80s. And that was a very balanced movie, by the way. I really enjoyed Mario Brothers. As far as I saw, they didn't sneak any drag in at all. And that movie is going to continue to be successful for many years to come. I can only imagine what the sequel is going to be like. When we come back, we're going to talk more Disney, more Little Mermaid, and really this whole culture. I do want to go take your questions and comments. We haven't talked in a while, so get them in over in the YouTube chat. But for now, get the thumbs up, subscribe, and share. We're going to go to a word from our sponsor.
Folks, we have a huge problem on our hands. A banking crisis is spiraling, and it's all thanks to the current administration's reckless spending, sky-high inflation, and massive interest rate hikes. Now, these banks are suffering, and guess what? They can legally seize your savings without notice to bail themselves out. That's right. Thanks to a sneaky law passed back in 2008, it's now legal for banks to take your hard-earned money, including your retirement savings, to save themselves. Now, this could leave your retirement accounts decimated, and you paying the price for their disastrous policies. Take action now before it's too late. Now, this guide will show you how to defend your money and keep your retirement savings safe from the banking crisis and the current administration's financial fiasco. This simple and 100% legal strategy may help you protect your retirement against higher taxes, soaring inflation, and a volatile economy. So don't let your golden years be ruined by someone else's mistakes. To secure your free wealth protection guide and safeguard what's rightfully yours, don't wait. The time to act is now.
Okay, we are back. People can vote with their dollars. We've seen that with Bud Light, but is Anheuser-Busch going down? No, they're not. Think about it. Has anybody even acknowledged that they own Busch Gardens, which are large theme parks? Are those things hurting? Are people going to make Disneyland hurt? They've certainly hurt the wallets of many people. And here's the thing. Not only is it in two kind of vacation destinations, Disney World being the more appealing, the larger one, the one I have never been to. I was at Disneyland in California when I was 20. In 99, 10 years after watching The Little Mermaid. Totally another story. Can you ever bring those things down? Will you bring down Anheuser-Busch? Is Target really going to go down? I mean, I like seeing stories like this, that Target loses $12 billion in 14 days. The headline was $12.5 billion. I don't know if they've had to retract that. But at almost $1 billion a day since they introduced the tuck-friendly swimwear to kids, good. I'm glad some people finally stepped up. Am I going to start seeing Targets close? Not really. And the thing is that Walmarts are closing throughout the United States. You know, the growth mantra is over. The mantra is now sustainability, which means your standard of living plummets. Let me give you just a small micro example. First of all, I don't usually go to Target. Target, the last place on my shopping list, 99% of the time. I'll admit I go to Walmart more than I should. Okay? Got a couple other spots. We're going to get into those spots in a minute. But I like myself an Arnold Palmer. And I like myself an Arnold Palmer with about 3/4 unsweetened iced tea. Right? Everything's too sweet. I got off the sweet drinks a while ago when my teeth got all messed up. And believe me, recently getting all that work done, extremely painful. I know you guys have heard me bitch and complain about it, but dental work is some of the worst. And now finally, my mouth is starting to heal up a lot more because I haven't had any dental work in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. I'm supposed to go in for like a checkup in a month. Anyway, back to the Arnold Palmer. So I go to my local Walmart. They usually have everything. I mean everything, and they don't have unsweetened tea. They got plenty of sweet tea. Sugar tea, no unsweetened tea. None of the generics, none of the Gold Peak, nothing. I want the half-gallon or gallon jugs, nothing. Well, it was later in the day. They'll have it tomorrow. And before I even check there, I got to go to Aldi's to go grocery shopping. I'll try to get some there. Aldi, no-go. Now, okay, hey, I get it. Aldi's is limited, great deals, but limited in scope of what you get. Go back to Walmart. Early. Think like right after the show. 10 a.m. style. And guess what? No, still not there. I'm like, I can't believe they didn't restock this. Okay, I'll go to Target. It's just up the road. So I hadn't been in a Target. It's a super Target, by the way. Giant Target. Pretty sparse in there, but, you know, I wouldn't say it was like all of a sudden people are protesting and refuse to go because of the tuck-friendly gear. And they're going to go out of business. Hey, be great if that trend doubled from 12 billion to 36 billion in a month. Huh? Wouldn't that be awesome? Be great. So I make my way over to the drink aisle at Target, and I get the last two. And I got, again, plenty of sweet tea. The last 2 gallons of the unsweetened tea. I get it. Spring is over. Summer is here. People want a delicious beverage, but why is it I can't get something basic like that? You know? So supply chains are going down. Retail is going to be minimalized. This isn't about profit anymore. It's just not. Like, do you think that Disney thought it would be a good idea? That, first of all, Disney as a theme park knows what it's doing with this, right? That decision to allow that person to have that position went all the way up to corporate. So one, I wondered to myself, was this person already vetted by Disney? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, no idea. Sometimes you just do rash things, and these people are incredibly stupid. But I would imagine this person's probably been vetted, doesn't have a ton of skeletons in his closet legally. Let's hope not. And they figure, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to take it next level, not just in our movies anymore, but now at our theme parks. We're going to jam it down your throat. Because eventually you have to, because at the end of the day, you're trying to change what it is to be human. Okay, and you're trying to desensitize children to the idea that they are in no way, shape, or form really a part of their biology, right? And that the family system is really outdated. I know, sounds dark, but it's true. So they know that they're in a legal battle with DeSantis in Florida, and I think a lot of that is posturing. First of all, it is totally and completely insane. They do not pay the type of taxes other companies would. It's totally and completely insane that they have been allowed to self-govern. Think about that. The allowance of the self-governance lets you know that they are absolutely 100% embedded with intelligence and law enforcement. Period. Like, it wouldn't be a thing otherwise. Probably some of the more corrupt aspects of it. Especially the amount of money that rolls through that place. Lots of money rolling through Disney. And lots of influence. And that's what this is about. This new thing is all about the influence. And the thing that I ended the Low Value Male podcast with, and I made sure to get it in because, again, this actually involves Disney on a higher level, because we've talked about how Disney is Miramax. It's Weinstein. Miramax, the adult Disney. That's like the original branch out. Okay? And I made sure to bring up, after we talked about just about anything you can imagine, right? Conspiracy-wise, because you did have all these callers coming in. And, people want to talk crisis actors or flat earth or shady hook or any of that stuff. Or no planes. No planes! I mean, there were some really good callers and really good subjects brought up as well. But, those always get integrated in there. And I always just try to get to the discernment level, right? I try to get the level of truth And to show the level of truth in the dark cartoon that we're in, I made sure at the very end to bring up that Disney absolutely knows that they are promoting, okay, this guy. And, you know, ESPN, another part of Disney. Oh, boy, oh, let's take a look. Yeah, we got the Ultimate Fighter coming up.
I'll take these one off your man, yeah?
All right, yeah.
I'll take these off your kid. I'll do 12 tone, yeah? 12 tone, my man.
Take some money, kiddo. I'm going to buy me doll. Oh, I like the children. Oh, he's going to buy his action figure. It's hilarious. So what I did is I made sure that he knew. And by the way, I even called out the Rogan. I'm like, yo, Rogan knows this too. It's like people, all of them know it. That there is a ton of evidence that that guy that they're selling for ratings, that they're protecting legally, is a serial, violent R-word, an abuser of women. When I read a headline like "Woman Too Afraid to Give Statement on Alleged Rape by Irish Sports Star," okay, and the under headline, and this all happens all the way back in 2018, all in 7 months, guys, less than 7 months, in about 6 months, this is going to be 5 years old. And who's done anything? And Disney doesn't know this? Disney protects these people. Police say all the evidence shows that the mother of one was raped and very badly assaulted in that penthouse suite by the sportsman who was known to her. To this day, that guy is being promoted. Why is that guy being promoted? So yeah, on one end, it's about the agenda, right? They don't mind if they lose a little scratch having a a male fairy godmother? Well, yes, a male fairy godmother apprentice at their park. They don't mind if they lose a little money there, but they'll be damned if they lose out on billions of dollars in revenue because their superstar likes to beat, abuse, and sexually assault women on a level you can't imagine. That's the dark cartoon, man. Meanwhile, you got to be lectured how if you disagree with that and you don't think that that's kid friendly to be tuck friendly or whatever else they want to shove down your throat, you're the bigot. You're the bad guy. And I already see this happening. All right? And people being brainwashed into thinking that. You know, later on in the program when I talk to Todd McGreevy, I tell kind of a personal story regarding this whole thing and this whole agenda that I don't know if I've ever discussed on air. You know, because it's one of those things where it's just like, how did this happen? Again, you wait. I talked to Todd about it. But it emphasizes you don't get to just solve your problems by taking drastic measures with your biology. Okay? That's number one. If you have a medical condition, okay, and it has to do with your nervous system, with your actual biology, most doctors will tell you if it's something that's rarer, they're going to have to try different things, period, because not everybody works the same. They're going to have to do that. Now, you in large part really get to decide how your biology interacts with everything, the terrain around you. And it's not always going to be easy. We are all going to have different types of challenges. Some people physical, some people mental, some people a combination of both. We're all going to have those problems at some point, right? But getting top surgery or injected with hormones as a child, that's not going to fill the void. And really, that's the next step of a society of women and then little girls that were sold on what? Plastic surgery and this fake-ass, celebritard, plastic people image. We're going to talk about that much more. Also, big Jeffrey Epstein news on the flip side of this break.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your My Pillow products: mattress topper, bed sheets, My Pillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear.
Whoa, Charles! Everyone now can get My Pillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Oh, Mike, you got a big smile. Use the promo code RVM when shopping anything My Pillow. All right. I do want to get to some of your questions and comments by the next segment. But I got a ton of other news that I want to get into, and especially this Epstein news. And look, when you see who Epstein is hobnobbing with, oh, more Peter Thiel, more Branson. Branson, the other space billionaire. By the way, I do want to quickly touch on this. SpaceX CRS-28 pre-launch media teleconference, press conference. This is the one that they're not really talking about. Not really talking about this. And this is like the actually thing. It's a supply flight. So this is going to put out more satellites, more things that matter. You're going to be concerned with what? Oh, they're going to talk about UFOs today. They're going to give you their UFO, or maybe, might be. Meanwhile, you know, in the backdrop, they're actually doing stuff. All right. So, a new trove of documents, private calendars and emails. Apparently, Chris Rock, and who's now denied that he attended the dinner that he was on the list for or might be there. Let's read it. A vast trove of Jeffrey Epstein's private calendars and emails are being revealed today by DailyMail.com. The hundreds of pages in the files give an unprecedented insight into the late pedophile's extraordinary network of power and influence. Among the revelations is that Epstein appeared to know personal details about the marriage of Bill Gates and his ex-wife Melinda, while magician David Blaine had numerous dinners with the financier. You know, Blaine is, boy, how do we say this? First of all, I want to say, I don't know that David Blaine's ever broken the law. I know that there have been some women accusers after the fact that have made some allegations, but though they're in fact women. I have enjoyed and watched David Blaine's career since I probably started in the late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there. Interesting guy. Illusion has always fascinated to me because I feel like even before I realized that there was a vast magic trick constantly being run on the public, I did realize that deception and sleight of hand were all around me. And this guy did it on a new level and an entertaining one. And also incorporated things that would seem completely and totally impossible. And yes. I mean, this guy sets up a shoot himself thing. There's the ice block. There's where he's standing up on the high tower. Lots of interesting stuff. Incorporates it with, interesting magic tricks, and often incorporates it with celebrity. So, finding out that he had numerous dinners with Epstein is disheartening. But in some of his videos, he's also at the home of Bryan Singer. Now, Bryan Singer is one of those Holly weirdos, those talented directors. Hey, who didn't like The Usual Suspects? I was devastated when I found out that Bryan Singer is an alleged abuser of young boys. And I've got two personal stories here. So one personal story involving Blaine, okay, is that on the 4th anniversary of 9/11, I think it was the 4th and not the 5th. It had to be. It had to be the 4th, because I don't believe it was on the 5th anniversary. I think it was just me, Dylan, and Corey, and it was small. We didn't have that many copies of Loose Change. Anyway, we were out in New York City, and I noticed David Blaine on the street getting out of a black limo to go to his hotel. So I stopped, and I gave him the movie. And I said, hey, man, this is the real deal. I need you to take a look at this. Big fan of your work. Please watch this movie. Truth About 9/11. Loose Change 2nd edition. It's the only I never heard back from him, of course, but I handed him the film. And whether he watched it or not, who knows? But I certainly handed it to him. Now, when I talk about Singer, I've never actually met Bryan Singer, but I was aware of his abuse, or his alleged abuse, prior to it making it into the mainstream, and prior to the film An Open Secret just devastatingly exposing him and others, and how they preyed on, young teenage boys. So, again, 9/11 related. Prior to the 5th anniversary of 9/11, when Loose Change was kind of taken off, and we were at this conference. It's actually on C-SPAN. I wonder if I could probably find my little speech on there. That's actually a pretty good speech that I give, and at the very end, and try to get people out to the 5th anniversary. And I was right. I mean, we had one shot at the title, and unfortunately, we didn't do it. We didn't make it. It's depressing. However, at this conference, Sheen was there. He helped put it on. Sheen has his own allegations as well. That Corey Feldman documentary accused Sheen of, raping Haim, I think, when he was like, 12 or something like that. Pretty devastating stuff. That's scary. But yeah, he helped put it on. I was talking to a Hollywood producer. I've named him before. I'm not going to get into his name again. But we were sitting down in the lobby, and it's hilarious because there was also like a porn conference going on, and I actually met Ron Jeremy there, and I ended up in an elevator with Jenna Jameson's ex-husband, who was still kind of working with her in the industry. They all had Club Jenna shirts on. I gave them all the film, but he was asking me, why do you do this? What are you doing here? And I go, honestly, man, aside from 9/11 and the fact that, I'm a poor guy. Like, I came from nothing. I'm a target. We're all targets. If they can do that to all those people in New York City, they can do it to me. They can do it to anybody. I go, but what puts it the extra mile is when you start looking into this stuff and you find out that at the end of the day, a bunch of these people are not only abusing children, but they're into the occult, and that's weird, man. And then I looked at him and I said, you're in Hollywood. I go, you're going to tell me that you don't know somebody at a high level that, is abusing kids? And he looked at me and he's like, well, yeah. He's like, yeah, I do. And I go, well, and he's like, well, obviously, I'm only telling it now because it's come out in the press. But he looked at me and he said, Bryan Singer. And right at that time, there was a Superman reboot. DC kept trying to reboot all these movies, and it just wasn't working. They said, oh, let's bring in Bryan Singer. And then Bryan Singer dressed Superman up a little too homoerotic for most people. Lex Luthor was Kevin Spacey. Weird how Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer work together so much. And he then goes on to explain to me that, when you go to these parties of Hollywood people, usually, there are women or escorts all around and sometimes plates of cocaine. He's like, look, they're very decadent. He goes, but what really put him off about this one party is a Singer party where Singer was like parading this kid around. He said, looked like a 14-year-old boy, topless, in a dog collar and leash. I'll never get that just image out of my head. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And the question is, did this ever stop? And the answer is probably not. They've burned a couple people. But if a company like Disney, ESPN, UFC, everybody always talks about, conspiracy theories. So many people would have to be in on it, Jason. Nobody can keep a secret, Jason. So there's not one good person in any of those companies that's going to come out and tell the truth about McGregor? Why is that? I mean, some people kind of got over that notion during the COVID 1984 nightmare, again, being lied to over and 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 over by the mainstream media, by the politicians, and even by a lot of the alternative media. Let's not get it twisted. So yeah, people can keep their mouths shut, and conspiracies do exist, and people that are powerful or make money for others get protected. Every once in a while, some people get burned. Let's continue on. I broke off at David Blaine and the dinners, but there's plenty more in this article. Among the revelations is that Epstein, we did that one. Presidents, prime ministers, royalty, and famous names previously not linked to Epstein are also featured in the hundreds of pages of documents. They show that Epstein courted the world's elite even after serving 13 months in jail for having sex with underage girls and being labeled a registered sex offender. Once again, he didn't really serve 13 months in jail. He was able to leave the jail on almost a daily basis and go to private residences. I mean, God. As he sought to rehabilitate his image, dozens of powerful people were scheduled to meet him, including Irana Shayk, Chris Rock, Wendy Murdoch, and Richard Branson. Tech billionaire Peter Thiel, early Facebook investor Sean Parker. Oh, Sean Parker! Sean Parker, Mr. Napster himself, Mr. recruited by the CIA at 16, but apparently he didn't take the gig. Sean Parker is the Timberlake character in the film The Social Network that somewhat tells, maybe, kind of, sort of, the origins of Facebook. Artist Jeff Koons, JP Morgan Chief Executive Jamie Dimon, and music industry executive Tommy Mottola. Oh, Tommy, who used to be married to Mariah Carey, are among those who appear in the documents. The files were handed over by Epstein's estate to the government of the U.S. Virgin Islands, where he owned 2 private islands during its investigation into the sex trafficking operation. The pedophile hanged himself in prison in 2019 while awaiting trial. Twice. He hanged himself twice. Just like Epstein's notorious black book of contacts, the schedules contain personal numbers and email addresses that allowed him to access his associates whenever he wanted. Here, DailyMail.com takes you through the records in depth, broken down by each figure involved. Okay? Prince Andrew and his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. All right, now we know a lot about that, but what a lot of people don't know is that, in fact, he is the arms dealer for the UK during that relationship. We're going to talk about that and more. I promise you we're at least going to go to some of the questions and comments, quick style, after a word from our sponsor.
Have you heard of Executive Order 14067? This little-known order implemented the digital dollar, the most sinister plan to control your spending. And it gets worse. In November, the federal government and banks began a test program to roll out the digital dollar. With this, privacy for all Americans will be lost forever. Imagine, the government can now track all of your spending. The government can tell you what you can and can't buy. The government could confiscate your cash. When digital currency was rolled out in China, Bloomberg wrote, quote, "This will lead to control like no other," end quote. The EU has announced that they are next, but it is already happening in America, which makes this wealth protection guide that American Alternative Assets just put out even more urgent. Project Hamilton, as this secret order is being called, might be the scariest order to happen to privacy and freedom in America since its founding, which makes this wealth protection guide so incredibly valuable right now. Move your money out of cash and into something that doesn't infringe on your privacy. You see, there is one legal IRS-proof loophole that could protect your IRA, 401k, and pension savings with gold and silver. And this free guide tells you exactly which steps you need to take right now to move part of your IRA or 401k into precious metals with no tax consequences. As this program rolls out, the sky's the limit for the level of government control that could be enforced on your money. Protect your savings and your privacy. But in the devastation ahead, American Alternative Assets is offering you something rare, a chance to protect your wealth and possibly even grow it.
All right, final segment of the first hour. You want to watch this second hour? It is free of charge over at RVMRumble.com. Again, myself, Todd McGreevy of the RC Reader. I want to show people really what we're going to be discussing. This is still downtown Davenport. And, they're saying that there's nobody alive there. Go watch the report Todd and I put together, because Todd's been on the scene. But this is really scary that just happened, I believe at like 5 p.m. on Sunday. Shows the crumbling infrastructure of this country. And let's see. Let's take this down. Let's see if we can get to everybody here. Oh, it's not even right. Gotta love that. Gotta love it when I don't have the window region in the correct region. But you know what? We'll do it live, folks. We're going to add source. We're going to show you how the sausage is made here. We're going to do a little Dicka-Dicka-Do desktop capture. Okay, now we're going to come on over here and do a little bit of that. And there's that right there. Look, this is how we do it. We do it live. Let's put it up in the corner. Let's see if we made it the right size. We did. Just barely. Just barely did it. And now we're going to drag it on down. See, I could teach other people how to do this. It's not that tough. You can run your own show. In fact, if you're watching, Danny, you're probably sleeping, because I know that you were up super late. This is how we do it here, XSplit style. And I love it. XSplit is another great product. That's who we should get as a sponsor. I like IPVanish. Get XSplit, Ray. Go reach out to XSplit. Get the promo code. I know I've got a promo code. I never use it, but that's how I run this show, XSplit. It kills it. All right. Let's go to the questions and comments here. Look at John Wayne Gacy. He killed 30 boys, and the cops did nothing ever after one escaped and followed the guy and reported him. I would say this. Gacy looks to have had accomplices, and there is and I think he's referring to the fact of people can't keep secrets, right? Let's see. The clown and the Candy Man. The Dean Carroll is somebody there. So here is, when we do it live, the Clown and the Candy Man. And I think you can actually purchase these on Amazon. What is this? This is the episode guide. What's this on? I'm wondering. Because I listened to the series. I found out later. Oh, it's on sky.com. Because is it free right now? Ooh, that would be big. Season 1, episode 4, The Clown. Let's accept all your cookies. Oh, wow, you can watch it. So, part 1, part 2. What is it? Missing 1 and 2, though? You're going to want to watch. Oh, no, there it is. Part 1 and 2. No, it's missing the first 2. That's too bad. Because you're definitely going to want to watch all of these. But The Clown and the Candy Man, this shows that was probably a network. And that, again, whispered history. People were obviously protected. People can obviously keep their mouth shut. Whispered history. Let's see. I used to be a Templar commander of knights. I know all too well how their games work. Corey willing to talk, but only if he's paid. Nasty. Look, man. Corey Feldman, who knows if anything's ever happened to him, but growing up in that environment, let's just say it's got to be tough, and he might be in a little bit of denial himself. And I get the idea why that turns people off, but you know, everybody's got to make a living, and I don't think it invalidates the reality of Hollywood. I think he's telling the truth there. By the way, not even 100 thumbs up. Let's get those thumbs up, man. And if you are watching on Rumble, thumbs it up. Subscribe, share. Remember, share the links, share the documentaries. Please support the broadcast that way. As I always say, one simply cannot mix truth-telling with money. As soon as one links their paycheck survival to their reporting, they have put themselves in a bad position. I haven't. So, you know, I just, inside baseball here, I just, for the first time, actually signed a contract with Red Voice Media. And Red Voice Media, I don't work for Red Voice Media. They distribute my show. Okay? They distribute my show. And in doing so, we run 4 commercials for an hour. And then we give you a whole block of 55 minutes commercial free in the second hour, uncensored now. 8 hours of free. Plus, it's not even just 8 hours of free. Then I end up posting interviews I did on other programs. I usually do Mixed Martial Mindset. That's an extra hour. And then you get somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes of the hour-long premium, you know, as the premium is there just for the supporters. And there's 2 of those every week. And they're interesting interviews with interesting people. And then we put those up for free. Look, hate to tell everybody, but you got to have the cheese, okay? You know, money make the world go round. You know, my nieces have volleyball this summer. You know, my one niece, God love her soul, she just got an impressive award at the end of the school year. Very proud of her. But at the same time, you know, money for the yearbook, all that stuff. Okay, real deal. So I want to be able to provide for my family. You know, believe me, there's other things I don't talk about where emergencies come up, and I do what I can. But I can't do it if I'm broke. None of us can. So it's being financially secure. I would argue the more financially secure I am, the better the content is going to be. That's just me. Let's see. I have a paywall. I don't have a paywall. I just explained exactly. Again, to say that I now have a paywall, when I again, it's now, we worked out a deal where the second hour is now free. Where that used to be the premium. So now you still get 2 hours of premium plus, and then we run commercials. God forbid. Ooh, I should be shamed. I mean, look, the donation model, the Rockfin model, that's great. But at the end of the day, it's a bumpy road. And when the algorithm censors your ass, or the terms of service change, or the crypto market moves, that's not a paycheck. That's not the same thing. So we're going to continue to expand here. You know, I'm going to be doing the Making Sense of the Madness show on another network, which is a totally different thing, which is more of an interview show with me in a suit. And it's, a very different thing than this. At the same time, again, I've been given carte blanche to ask the questions I want to ask, to talk about the stories I want to talk about. Because, I discussed this a little bit in the upcoming second hour with Todd, but it truly is not about right or left to me. It's right and wrong. And he's like, well, it does say Red Voice Media. And I said, look, man, if the people on the right side want to give me a voice, I'll take it all day, just like I'll take it all day from the left. Because I believe that those people, in most cases, when they're actually, common sense thinking people, they're coming together. You understand? That's what makes the RFK Jr. presidency so appealing. Because he's right. He goes out there and says, I can take away a lot of Trump supporters. And he's right. Love Donnie T, hate Donnie T. That statement is correct. That's real. Katie Kane says, Manhattan Project talking about compartmentalization. For example, if one has a family and he makes a living out of his truth-telling, what happens when telling the truth dings your money and that affects his family? You get a job. I've always done that. That's the thing. I'm not afraid to go get another job. I have skill sets. I can do that. And I've always said that. Whether it was running a bar, flipping pies, working in a office in a soul-crushing MSP company for a paycheck, willing to do it. Tell you what, you compromise at those jobs way more. We got a Tipsky and Hutch. Mariah, thank you so much. Send in love, Jason. Thanks for all the informative content. Thank you. And we do try to keep it informative, and we do try to keep it out of the realm of what everybody else is going to be talking about. And I understand a lot of people are going to be talking about Disney, but it needs to be talked about. How many people are going to be talking about Disney, ESPN, and, Connor McHits and sexually abuses, what? How many people are going to be talking about that aspect of it? Or the Weinstein connections? And that's not even getting into Disney and the long line of children that have worked in that industry and the abuse that has allegedly happened to them. When a small percentage owns and runs everything, that is the conspiracy, and they're in on it. Oh, that jumped quite a bit. Let's see. Let's see. Sweetheart deal. Let's see. Y'all are complaining he's trying to make money. Maybe you should tip more if you don't want an indie guy to have a paywall. Again, there is no paywall on the other side. I keep saying there is no paywall, and you can't tip except for on Rockfin and Rumble. You're not able to tip on YouTube because we're demonetized here for 3 years, and the content is 100% deboosted. I don't regret my decision. My extended family thought I was nuts, though. I'm not sure which decision that is. BTC is the new store of wealth. The fact is, it puts one in the position to be manipulated and controlled. I report like Jason and so much more, but I've never seen a single red cent for doing so. That's great, man. Again, this is what I'm lucky enough to be able to do because I've been on the grind for years. In fact, I talk about it a little bit in the very end of the second hour with Danny. And I know I'm lucky. I know I'm blessed. I talked about it with Richard Andrew Grove on his program the other night. That's a big thing. I'll probably put that interview up either later tonight or tomorrow. Okay, with that being said, we're going to play our last jam. I do actually use IP Vanish. And then, folks, you're going to have to go over to the second hour, RVMRumble.com for free. No paywall. No paywall. Come on over, watch it for free, and if you're using a VPN, use IP Vanish.
We love the internet, but the internet is tracking everything you do. Take control of your online privacy with IP Vanish. People with malicious intent are everywhere, watching you, Criminals can hack your Wi-Fi, while broadband providers and advertisers monitor your data. With IP Vanish on your device, your internet activity is encrypted. No one can see what you're doing. Your location, your connection, completely hidden. Protect your internet privacy today with IP Vanish.